Through this and see how you did. Making sure we're on target. So here we go. First problem. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. First problem. Now the directions tell you it's a law of sines problem. But in the real world, you aren't going to be told that it's a law of sines problem. How do you know this is a law of sines problem, Jack?
What did you say it was for? So you have two angles.
Well, it's more than that. That's definitely part of it, Megan. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, when you get,
we can find the third angle real easily by adding up the other two and subtracting from 180. So this is 73. Now look what we have.
oh,
When we have an angle and its side, that will be the law of sines. So let's set it up. This is side C, this is side H. What will we have? Sine 73 over 10 equals sine 49 over H. So we'll cross multiply. And H equals 10 sine 49 over sine 43, or 73. So what did you get for that side?
7.8.
Yep, 7.89, that was H. And then what do we do?
same thing.
Start over. Sine 73 over 10 equals sine, what do I need, 58 over C?
Yes.
And cross multiply and divide again. And that one works out to be 8.87. Does anybody have a question about that one? Last chance. All right, on the back. I hope you paid attention that you are not solving this whole triangle. It says find side C only. Whenever you find the side of a triangle, you're either going to use the law of sines or the law of cosines. Which one is appropriate this time? And what would that look like, Bryce Acreage, the law of cosines? C squared
equals a squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 10 times 8 cosine C, or whatever it is.
43.
43.
That's exactly right. Bryce said, I cannot use the law of sines, so I'm going to have to use the law of cosines. The only angle I have is 43, so that's going to go right there, which means this has to be side C over here. And there it is. The only thing about this is, be sure when you type it in, that you remember to do what? What do you have to remember to do? Square root it. How many got 6.85 as your answer? If you didn't get 6.85, you're wrong. We need to figure it out. Okay, number 2 on this says find the area.
This is where I have a question.
Uh-huh.
For that equation, is it always going to be c squared equals blah, 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 blah?
Yes. Okay, we want to find the area of this triangle. Paige. How do we find the area of this triangle? Remember, you've got a couple of different options. Tyler.
You add up all the sides and get the perimeter.
Okay, so the perimeter of the triangle would be what?
48.
48.
And then you do the semi, which is 24.
The semi-perimeter then would be 24. When we know all three sides, the area will be the square root of 4 things.
Semi-perimeter.
The first thing is the semi-perimeter that you already found. What are the other 3 things? 24 minus, or the semi-perimeter, 24 minus each of those. So 24 minus 12, 24 minus 20, and 24 minus 16. Then we just type all those things together. And what do we have to remember to do? Oh my gosh. Did you get a whole number?
Yeah.
96. The area works out just to be 96. Okay, girls. All right, and then the last one is another area problem. This is a little egomaniacal. I use my own. I use my own initials.
What's your middle name?
Kelly.
Actually, my maiden name is Kelly.
Oh.
Oh, that's my mom's first
My
name.
middle
And my mom's
name.
first name.
My middle name is Kay.
It's Catherine.
My name's actually just K, like K-A-Y.
Because it's my mom's middle
Oh,
name.
that is cute.
And it's my, so then it's my oldest son. It's kind of a mess.
My mom's real name is Laverne.
It is Tom Ford. I'm married to Tom Ford.
Tom, does he listen to rap by chance?
No.
Tom Ford.
He should, because there's a song called Tom Ford.
Is there?
Yeah, like Jay-Z and Kanye West. I don't.
Okay.
Tom
How do we find the area? How do we find the area of this triangle? Very easy.
Jay-Z or Tom.
1/2.
Side.
Side.
Angle.
Side. Not angle.
Sine.
Sine of included angle. If you forget the sine part, you're going to get the wrong answer. 1/2. Oops, 1/2 times side times side times sine of included angle. I got 160.19. Okay? Any question about those? Okay, that took longer than I thought. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna postpone our quiz till tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And what we're gonna do now is go back to your practice test. Maya? Maya? I need to pay attention.
Are we allowed to use the
No. No. Those things were memorized. Okay. Patrick, please do not throw things. Last night, you had 4 or 5 problems to finish on your practice sheet. Did anybody have trouble with any of those? All right, let's look at practice test 2 then. Practice test 2. Let's do the simplifies together because those are the hard ones. And then I will let you choose the ones you want to do together. But let's do those 2 first. Okay, so the first one says we're going to simplify cosecant over secant. And cosine squared over 1 minus sine. All right, here we go. Hey, girls. Hey, now this is 3 times I've had to look back there and say something. I really need you to... Okay.
Wait, don't start.
All right, how do we start this first problem? Some of you are already writing. You feel good about this. You can do it.
1 over sine.
We're going to rewrite cosecant as 1 over sine. And we'll rewrite secant as 1 over cosine. Now, this is a fraction divided by another fraction, right? And what do we do when we divide by fractions?
Multiply by reciprocal.
We multiply by the reciprocal. So this will be 1 over sine times cosine over 1.
Yes.
Which ends up, nothing cancels, we end up with cosine over sine, which gets you full credit,
It's cotangent.
but you might get a little bit of bonus if you recognize that is cotangent. Maybe.
Ooh.
Now, what about this one? This one's a little bit tougher, but we've done it before. We've done a problem just like this before.
1
Brooke?
minus sine squared.
Thank you, Brooke.
What? Yeah, Brooke, get out of here. People say names.
Yeah, I just called on her, but that's okay. We have on our purple sheet, you have written down that 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared.
Yes, it is.
And 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. They both work. So if we look at that one right there and we see a cosine squared, we can change cosine squared into 1 minus sine squared. Now, boys and girls, you cannot change your denominator because it's not squared. Remember, the only way these formulas work, they're called Pythagorean identities because they have squares in them. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. If there are no squares, you can't use those ideas. So I can't use it in the bottom, but I can use it in the top. Now, what about that top? It factors. And how does it factor, Brooke? 1 minus sine x, 1 plus sine x. That is exactly right. It's the difference of squares. Whenever you have a square minus a square, you can factor it as 1 plus, or first plus second, first minus second. And then what do you notice? They cancel, and the answer is 1 plus sine. Now, on Friday, when we take our test, you're going to get points for each step that you can do. So even if you can't get it all the way done, do something so that you can get at least partial credit. All right, so that's part 1. Now, take a look at the rest of the practice test. Think about what you did last night. Think about what we did yesterday. What problem do we want to do now? Olivia.
We did the word problems.
I'm so lost.
Okay, is there a particular one or just all of them?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is part 5, so it's the back of the second page. Okay, I feel like, okay, problems 1 and 4 are kind of similar. So I'm going to do 4 because I've not done a decagon before. So here's my circle. What does decagon mean? I'm doing problem number 4.
That's a 10 side of
I'm on problem number 4. Decagon, problem 4, has 10 sides. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm making 10 hash marks. So there's my decagon. The radius of the circle is 15 inches. Now, I've only drawn one triangle in there. How many would there be? There'd be 10 of them, right? If you want to draw all 10, draw all 10.
You saying I don't have to?
You do not have to. We only need one. But here's what else I need. I need to know this angle. So maybe drawing all 10 will be helpful to you to help you determine this angle. 36. And how do we know that angle is 36?
Took 160 divided by 10.
360 divided up into 10 little triangles, right? Now, look at this triangle. What will the area of that triangle be? 1/2. 15 times 15 times sine 36. We are using our 1/2 side sine formula. Now, we're so excited that we have something to write down on our paper. And I type it all in and I get 66 point something. Is that the answer to the question?
No, you got to by 10.
I have to times it in this problem by 10.
Yes.
And why am I timesing it by 10? Because there are 10 triangles. So the answer is the area of the decagon is 661.26 square inches. Now, that's problem 4. Do you see that problem 1 is going to be done exactly the same way? Except instead of everything being in 10s, it's going to be in 5s. So I'm not going to do problem 1. You're going to do that one on your own. Problem 2. Find the area of a parallelogram. Okay, you need to know, you need to remember that back in your brains, a parallelogram. The sides are 10 and 16. The larger angle, so that would be this one, right, is 104. Find the area. Okay, now wait a minute. What was our strategy? We did not find the area of a decagon here. What did we break it into?
Triangle.
Triangles. Can we break a parallelogram into triangles? By simply drawing in the diagonal, right? Now, can we find the area of the triangle?
Yes, ma'am.
What would that look like?
1/2 times 10 times 15 sine 104.
Exactly.
16, my bad.
That's it. That's the area of the triangle. So I can type that in on my calculator and get my area. 1/2 times 10 times 16 times sine 104. Now, did you get 77 point something?
Yeah.
Okay, don't get excited. That is not the answer. What do you have to do to get the area of the whole parallelogram? Multiply it by 2. So the area of the parallelogram is 155.25 square centimeters. Is everybody okay with that? All right, let me redraw. Number 3 deals with the same parallelogram. So I'm going to redraw it. Now, this is a little bit tricky in terms of your memory. Can anybody tell me what the measure of this angle is?
It would be 76. 76.
I've heard 2 different people say 76, and you're close, Joy, you say 74. How do we know that angle's
Because
76?
it's supplementary. So
Because they're supplementary, that's exactly right. These two angles are supplementary. They're same side interior angles, parallel lines, cut by transversal.
I take it twice.
So, why is that important to me? Well, this question asks for the length of the shorter diagonal. Now, this is one diagonal drawn in this problem here. This would be the other diagonal, right? Which one's shorter? This one or that one?
That one.
That one. This is the one I want. Now, here is what you can't do. When I drew in that blue line, you can't say this is 52 and this is 52.
Can't do it.
The diagonals do not, of a parallelogram, do not bisect the angles. So, I don't know anything about that angle, so that's why I needed to know this one was 76. Okay, this is the only angle in this triangle that I know. So, I need to find x. Am I going to use law of sines or law of cosines? Well, actually I can't use the law of sines because I don't have a pair of information anywhere. Okay, I just got done saying that, Tim. The diagonals, this is big. I mean, somebody's going to do this on the test, I absolutely guarantee it. And I'm going to get out my red pen and I'm going to write, oh! The diagonals of a parallelogram do not bisect the angles. Period. You know nothing about these angles or these. This is the only angle you know.
Law of cosines.
So we're going to say x squared equals 10 squared plus 16 squared minus 2, 10, 16 cosine 76. Some of you will try to use the law of sines. You will be wrong.
You will be wrong, and you're going to fail.
No, you're not going to fail. You're
Then
just
your
gonna
grades
miss that problem.
going straight to you. That's a bar. That's pretty easy.
As with all law of cosines problems, don't forget to take the square root. And that was centimeters. Not square centimeters, it's not area, just centimeters.
Wow.
Your homework for tomorrow is to finish practice test 2. And we will have a quiz at the beginning of the period that I will grade quickly and give you some immediate feedback, okay?